We've been watching as the Republican Party in the House of Representatives especially has made it one of their issues to go after the FBI, the DOJ, because God forbid they hold Trump accountable legally for his now pretty clear violations of the law, especially with the notorious Trump tape where he's committing crimes on tape. And they're not for law and order. They said they were for a very long time. Now that it's affecting one of their own, they're very much not for law and order. And I want to walk through a recent Politico piece that I came across that highlights this point and emphasizes the danger to the rule of law that, again, they purported to care so much about, of their actions in the House as they ramp up their efforts to go after Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, director of the FBI, DOJ as an institution, FBI as an institution, and how this really does threaten the rule of law. So this is, like I said, from Politico, titled "Inside the House GOP's Plan to Go After FBI and DOJ," and it writes, House Republicans are taking their fight with the FBI and Justice Department to a new level, weighing punitive steps against both agencies that would have been unfathomable a decade ago. Half a year into their majority and with an increasingly restless right flank, the House GOP is ready for a confrontation after a spate of recent decisions it sees as either anti-Trump or pro-Biden. At the top of the list, yes, of course, Hunter Biden's plea deal with federal investigators and Donald Trump's indictment over his handling of classified documents. It talks about the targeting of Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray, and then gets to a really notable part. Additionally, some conservatives who believe the agencies have targeted Republicans, no evidence, are eager to cut the law agencies' budgets. Then there's the long brewing congressional fight over a soon-to-expire warrantless surveillance program that has sparked bipartisan accusations of abuse by the FBI. And then it cites a quote here, I believe the best way to send a message is to use the power of the purse. So is just simply changing the funding to different agencies a threat to rule of law? No, of course not. Maybe at certain points it's good to decrease, at different points it's good to increase. It's very situational, of course. The situation here is different though, because only now are Republicans wanting to punish the certain agencies they feel like have wronged conservatives. Again, they haven't provided actual significant evidence to support the belief that these institutions are being weaponized against conservatives, but it's a narrative, and based on that narrative, to rile up their base, they have to do some sort of action. And right now we're seeing, and we've covered it extensively, the defund the FBI movement, I guess if you want to call it that, within the GOP. They're actually seriously considering and attempting to move forward on leveraging their power of the purse, as it's called, leveraging their ability to decrease funding to these different institutions and agencies to punish them for essentially, at the end of the day, there's other stuff around that they'll talk about, but ultimately it comes down to going after Donald Trump. In reality, Trump brought this on himself. He seemingly violated the law. And in a country that has rule of law, where no one's above the law, which is what we're supposed to have, even though often we don't, and people seem to be above the law. But if we do believe in that, then it's good to see someone who is influential, who is powerful, former president, who seems to have violated the law, and now he's being held accountable for that. We should celebrate that our system is working in this case and isn't being so blinded by the power, privilege, and influence of Trump. But in their eyes, because Trump is still the dear leader of the GOP, they have to, for the purposes of throwing red meat to their base, go after the entities that they feel are targeting Trump. And so this sets up a situation where these agencies, the DOJ, for example, or the FBI, the institution of the DOJ or the FBI as an agency, will feel threatened by political agendas and might be influenced by that. It's interesting, as I've talked about in the past, they say the federal government's being weaponized against conservatives, and it's not. But they're working in the name of fighting back against that to weaponize the federal government for their interest against the other political side. And what would end up happening is the FBI, the DOJ, other institutions within the government that are supposed to be somewhat independent from lawmakers will feel threatened by these lawmakers and may not act as correctly in line with strictly rule of law as they should, because they're worried, hey, You remember when we went after Trump, all of a sudden our funding got cut massively, and we got called in to testify, and we got slapped around metaphorically, politically by these people. And maybe we should be a little more careful. And we don't want that. We want them to act as independently as possible. And that's what the House GOP is trying to get in the way of.